Tonic Craft Kit unboxing video. Today's one is for kit number 66, which is called the Sassy Shell Bag, and it's a gorgeous small little shell-shaped purse kind of little bag that can be done up with a bow of ribbon at the top, or I've also done a magnetic closure on one of them as well. And so let's have a look at what's in this month's Tonic Craft Kit. So first of all, you can see we have got our next binder. So those of you who are collecting them, it's time for another binder to put the next 3 in. So we've got that ready. Then we've got our bag of Nuvo goodies. So I'll tip these out. And in this month's kit there is also a couple of either ors that you might be getting. So you're going to be getting a full set of 3 Nuvo hybrid ink pads, but you might get this set which is called Tropical Fruits, or you might get the Dream in Colour set of ink pads. It's an either or kind of option, but even though these colours in particular don't go with the cardstock colours particularly that are in the actual kit, I mean I don't think either of the sets completely go with the colours, but this one I feel like doesn't go with them as much as the Dream in Colour does. You can still make some beautiful cards with this set of colours using all of the things that are in this month's kit. And the tutorial video, which will be up tomorrow, I'm actually using these 3 ink pads as the main sort of colouring source to add colour to the card that we're creating as well. So these are the 3 ink pads that I got, but you might also be getting the Dream in Colour ones, which I think is a lightish pink, blue and a peachy kind of colour. So both of them go perfectly for any sort of tropical beach kind of themed project anyway. But these ones particularly don't really go with the papers, but you've got cream paper or cardstock in there that you can then use all of your ink pads onto, and obviously we have the stamps to go with the kit as well, so perfect for stamping any of the designs onto your bag as well. So these are the ones that I have been working with: Panama Rose, Rubber Duck and Lime Burst. This is one of the original 3 sets of ink pads, or sets of 3 ink pads. I think there was maybe 4 that came out originally, and this was one of those original sets. So perhaps you had one ages ago and you've used up all of the ink in your ink pads. You know, it's quite nice to get a new set of them so that you can try some more techniques with them, or you know, just have a fresh ink pad for some really good stamping as well. So that's the set that I got, but you might also be getting the Dream in Colour set depending which one you get in your kit. Then there's also another either or option. We're getting the ivory white double satin ribbon from Craft Perfect, but you might be getting the 3mm like I got, or you might also be getting the 9mm. But either of them should work to do the closure of your little bag. The 3mm goes perfectly through the hole, but if you have the 9mm, you can make a chunkier kind of bow that kind of disguises the whole of the sort of closure mechanism as well. So whichever one you get will work perfectly. And with their double satin ribbon, you can colour it as well. Don't think that you have to keep it just the ivory colour. They've gone with the ivory, I think, so that you can change the colour of it. We've got a sparkle spray in this kit, so you could turn it into a sparkly ribbon, or you could drag your ink pads along it and change the colour of it that way, or you can just use one of your alcohol pens from your stash as well and change the colour of it too. So if you really want it to coordinate and not be cream, maybe you haven't used cream anywhere else on your little shell bag, just pick out a pen that matches it perfectly, and you can colour that as well. So you've got 5 meters of either 3mm or 9mm, depending which spool you get in your kit. But that you've got that ribbon. Then we've also got a full bottle of the Nuvo crystal drops in Morning Dew, which dry clear, and again I often show techniques with dream drops, but you can apply them to all of the other drops as well. So in the tutorial tomorrow it's going to be a Nuvo drop resist, using the clear drops to create some different sort of resist designs, using some of the dies from the set to create our own stencils, like I did in last month's tutorial video for last month's kit, with the way I showed you how to create your own stencils. I've done a few more stencils for some of the dies in this kit, and we're going to be using some of the Morning Dew crystal drops with them to create some resist sort of techniques on a couple of cards. So if you like the sound of that, I'll show that sample later, but also check out tomorrow's tutorial video as well. So you've got a full-sized Morning Dew clear transparent Nuvo crystal drop. Then this product here, this is one of Tonic's sparkle sprays, but this one is called Cream Gold, and I couldn't find this one in my stash, so I have a feeling this is one of the ones, I have this small little sample of it, you see, so I have a feeling this is one of the ones that was maybe supposed to come out with a colour trend and maybe they didn't get the stock in time. So I'm not sure if you would have this. I forgot to check on the website to see if it's actually on there or not, but it's called Cream Gold, so it might be a colour that you might not have had before, but it's really beautiful and it's really nice and sheer and subtle. I actually did with the ink blending with those ink pads, I think on 2 of the cards that I created, I just sprayed directly over the top of them to give like a misted, sparkly kind of effect over the top. I also painted some die cuts with it as well and splattered it too, so really versatile, the sparkle sprays. And as I always say, to get a spare spray bottle, tip a little bit out and dilute it up to like 8 or 10 times, and these are so packed full of sparkle and colour that you really don't notice it. When you're spraying it a lot, you really don't notice that you've diluted it that much, so you really can make your bottle go a lot further if you love using your sparkly sprays as well. And you can also just unscrew the bottle, take the uptake tube out and tap it across your project as well to get that splattery kind of design too. So really, really useful product, a sparkle spray. And any kind of watercolours that you have, whether you're using like an ink pad to do watercolouring with, whether you've got Aquaflows from years ago, anything like that, you can add a little bit of the sparkle spray to it to turn it into a sparkly medium as well. And saying like that, you could also, if maybe you had an empty aqua shimmer, or, you know, with the glitter gloss or the Midas touch or something, you could decant a little bit of this into that and maybe dilute it down and technically like top up one of those sparkly pens or create another one with a different colour. I have done it personally with the Aspen Gold Mica Mist, but I feel like this colour, which is the Cream Gold sparkle spray, would work really nicely for that kind of thing as well. So if you have any of those ones empty, or possibly if you just have an empty water brush. I'm not sure how well like water brushes would cope with little particles of sparkle. Obviously an aqua shimmer is already designed to cope with that because that's the product that it had in it to begin with, but yeah, you could definitely play around with trying to top up one of those kind of products with this as well and use it as like a little sparkly accent on top of coloured images and stuff too, rather than just spraying it if you don't like the mess of kind of spraying things as well. So that is the sparkle spray we've got in there, full size one of those. And then we also have this, I've got one in the packaging to show you as well. This is called the Nuvo Smooth Precision Glue Pen, and it's actually a really like fine tip rollerball glue pen. What does it say on the back? It says effortlessly drifts across the project with a strong and reliable adhesive. So you can use this to stick down your fine detailed die cuts. You can like draw on the back of them and use it to stick them down, or you could actually use this to you know, like with a quickie glue pen, you would kind of add little tiny details and then sprinkle glitter on it or something. This would work in exactly the same way as that kind of a pen, but because it is, it's got like a squidgy barrel to it and the product is liquidy inside it, it's going to go a lot further than a quickie glue pen would go. And it also means that you can get more out of it if you need to. Like if you wanted a puddle of it, for example, you could squeeze it to get a little puddle out. And you can also wait for this to go tacky, and then you could use it with your gilding flakes or foils and things like that as well. So it's a kind of like a two-way sort of glue, that it's going to be tacky when it has dried. It's never going to actually dry, it's always going to stay tacky, so it's going to take something on top of it. You could even use shimmer powders on top of it if you wanted to as well. It's a really cool different kind of thing to have a play with. If you haven't tried any kind of glue pen before, it's quite fun having a play with it and seeing what it's like. And you can do all sorts of different techniques with it. You can do hand-drawn sort of stuff, you can just do dots, you can trace over something that you've stamped as well, or again, sort of tracing on the back of it to apply glue to it to stick fine details, like fine detailed die cuts down as well. And actually, on one of my cards, I did some paper piecing, and it was fantastic for that, because I was doing the kind of paper piecing where you're not putting a double-sided adhesive sheet behind it and you actually need to apply glue to all the bits you're sticking in, and it's really handy for like filling in a little area to then be able to replace the bits back into it really easily as well. So you might find it great for paper piecing too. So we've also got that in this month's kit. Then let's take these out and move the box out of the way. Okay, so cardstock wise for this month's kit, we've got a lovely selection of lots of their textured Craft Perfect cardstock and a couple of Speciality ones as well. So we've got 2 sheets of the cream classic cardstock, which has got the gorgeous linen texture. All of the classic cardstock has a gorgeous linen texture on one side and then is much smoother on the other side. So I know I haven't shown you the die set and the stamp set yet, but when you're creating with the dies and stamps, if you wanted to stamp directly onto your die cut little shell purse, I would recommend die cutting on the smooth side of the cardstock. Then when you come to stamp onto it, you're going to get a much better impression. If you die cut onto the textured side and then try to stamp on top of the textured side, unless you were using your stamping platform when you stamped it multiple times over in the same position, you're probably going to get a bit of a skippy kind of pattern. It's not going to be completely crisp. So I do recommend stamping or die cutting and stamping on the smooth side of the cardstock if you are going to make the bag straight from the classic cardstock. So firstly we've got 2 sheets of cream. Then we also have 1 sheet of Amethyst. I think this is Amethyst and this one's Mauve. I always get the 2 of them confused. So we've got 1 sheet of Amethyst, 1 sheet of Mauve. Then we've also got 1 sheet of Ocean Blue and 1 sheet of Teal Blue. I really love this colour combination. I'm sure I've used it in something else recently, but I cannot think what project I used it in, but I do love these colours together. They work really, really nicely. So those are all of the texture Craft Perfects, and then you have the cream, which you can use in conjunction with these. It looks fantastic because it kind of gives like a sand sort of look, you know, with the shells. But you can also use the ink pads, whichever ones you get in your kit, to add colour to the cream one as well, to give a different sort of look as well. And you can also use your sparkle spray on top of any of them to give them that beautiful shimmery sparkle kind of look too. And then the 2 specialty sheets that we've got in this month's kit are Lilac Waves, which I think this one actually came out in the Dreaming colour trend from years ago, but it's a beautiful one. I love this one. Really, really gorgeous. It's very subtle kind of pattern, but really, really pretty, and you can still see those details in it when you die cut it as well. And then the glitter card that we've got is called Turquoise Lake. Really, really pretty turquoise. I absolutely adore this one. And these colours just go so perfectly together and create such gorgeous cards as well. I've done 3 cards to show you, and I also have 3 of the shell bags to show you as well. So once I've looked through the die set with you and the stamps, I'll show you all of those samples that I have created as well. So let's go through the dies and the stamps. And I do also have the sticker for this month, so it's called the Sassy Shell Bag. So gorgeous little sticker with the same colour scheme as the kit as well. Then I've put my dies onto an A5 magnetic sheet, but you don't get one in the kit. I just thought I'd better say that. I always forget to say whether you do or don't get a magnetic sheet with things, but you don't get one with your kit. I just put mine on it. But these are the ones that Tonic do sell. They've got the little rounded corners on them and they fit perfectly in the kit folders, which is a really lovely way of storing them. So this is the die set, and it's this gorgeous shell bag design, and it gives you like half of the bag, so you need 2 of these main die cuts to create 1 bag. So it's a really card efficient kind of die set for creating small little gift favours. Maybe you're having like an underwater themed party, maybe you've been asked to do the wedding favours for like a sea themed wedding or something. Maybe your kid or grandkid is like a big fan of the Little Mermaid, something like that. You've got all of these kind of ideas that you could use them as like party favours, to create small little gift bags to give things to people, possibly even a slice of cake. If you cut it up, put it in a napkin and put it inside. You could even use them as like a party bag for the pieces of cake at the end of a party as well. But a really lovely sized little bag. You can see from this being an A5 sheet, it's a decent sized small bag, I think I would say. So it's not too small that, you know, you can't think of anything to put inside it. It's quite a nice sort of sized little bag, and I will show you them in a minute as well. But this is the actual die set. So you've got this main die. I should get a magnet. You've got this main die that you would cut twice to give you your actual shell-shaped bag, but you don't have to turn this into a bag if you don't want to. You could maybe cut along this curved line, cut off that glue tab there, and stick this in a memory book and use it as like a flip down, and it can be a shell design that you then flip down and it's got a photograph behind it or something. So, and actually, you could even cut off all of those score lines there, and it could just be a gift tag because you've already got the hole in the top of it as well. So it could just be a giant shell-shaped gift tag as well. Even though it's designed to be a bag, don't think that things have to be a bag. I know I'm always showing you cards because I just love card making. That's what I love to do. But you can definitely chop things up, maybe add more die cuts to it perhaps. What about die cutting multiples of these, maybe keeping these pieces on but cutting the glue tab off the other side and attaching them all together and creating some kind of shell wreath, and then maybe bringing in other dies that you have in your stash. Maybe you had those mermaids from years ago. They were like large circle layering die sets and they had mermaids in the centre. There was also a lot of sentiments that went with that as well. There was like Oceans of Love, Mermaid to be Friends, things like that. If you have all of those from years ago, or maybe another brand of sea-themed kind of dies and stamps, or what about the Mermaid Stamp Club as well? You could do all sorts of fun things just using this kind of basic shape and not even create a bag with it as well. You can do all sorts of things with them. You could even create a shaped card blank as well if you wanted to. So you could take a card blank, line it up over here, so that it's not going to cut this line. It will just give you that fold sort of line on it, and then you can just trim off these excess pieces. So you'd have the fold going along that actual fold line that's in the die, and then you would get this shape with these extra bits on there, but you would just snip across them on both sides of it and you'd have a shell-shaped card. And even though it would have a hole in it, you could use one of the smaller elements from the die set to cover up that little hole as well. So there really are lots of ways of just using this die from the set as well, but that's the main one that you use to create your actual bag. And then you have all of these pieces that are to kind of decorate it or give you a little tag or a way of adding a sentiment onto it as well. But if you just ignore that first one that I already gave you more ideas for, this is literally just the kind of die set that you would use on your cards as well. So if you don't like three-dimensional dies, there's literally just that one die in the set that gives you that three-dimensional kind of aspect to it. All of the rest of them can just be used decoratively on your cards, or you can use that actual 3D die to create different things as well. So, you know, there's so many different possibilities with this little die set. So next you've got the decorative panels to add onto your bag or just to use on your cards and everything. So you've got this beautiful shell layering panel which you can put on the front and the back of the box, and as well as having a die cut panel, it also has a stamp to go with it as well. So actually, if I just bring you over to the stamp set anyway, I'll show you the coordination of the stamps and the dies. So you actually have this layer that perfectly matches that stamp design. So if you wanted to, you could stamp the stamp straight onto the bag, but you can also stamp the stamp onto the layers, either stamping first and then die cutting, because the way Tonic do their dies is similar to their stamp clubs. You can see the stamped design through the die, so you can stamp first and then die cut, which is probably much easier. I actually die cut and then stamped, and I was heat embossing, so I think maybe it was easier for me because I was heat embossing, because if you're using a clear sticky ink, the cardstock wants to stick to your stamp and then you can press on the back of it and get firm pressure. But if you were going to do one of your Nuvo hybrid ink pads or something, I probably would recommend stamping first and then die cutting them. I think that would be simpler, but you have the ability to cut that panel out or the stamp out with that panel die. And then you also have two different options for different details for the side panels. So you've got one that's just a cut edge, and this one's a cut edge with a pierced edge as well. And you also got a stamped design to go on those side pieces too. And again, you can stamp that first and then die cut it, because you can actually see the whole design through the centre of the die. So you can stamp colour and then die cut, or you can die cut, stamp and then colour, whichever way is your preferred way. You can do it either way, which is nice. Then we also have these two little dies here, which, or sorry, those two little stamps there, which I don't know if they're particularly meant to coordinate, but I think they would. Yeah, they will coordinate with each other. And I think actually you can almost line that little starfish up with those stamped circles in the centre of it to get it to be perfect. Or you can do the opposite way of cutting the die first to give you the aperture, then placing the aperture around your stamped image, taping that in place, and then pushing the die back in over the top and then die cutting it to get the perfect die cut version of the tiny little starfish. And then similarly you can do the same thing for the little shell as well, but they would actually work to die cut those out, and you can actually get tiny little shells and starfish to decorate different projects, and that kind of thing is perfect for covering up the hole on the bag if you were going to use it for a different purpose, or if you were going to add a magnet to the top of the bag closure, you can use these to cover the hole so you don't know that there's actually a hole behind there, and then you can use magnets to close it. Then you've got a couple of sentiments on here too, which say, let's celebrate, I love that one, and then also wishing you oceans of joy, and the little banner die in the die set will fit those as well, so you can use that, and again you can die cut first and stamp, or stamp and then die cut. You can do either way around because you can see all of the wording through the opening in that die. And then you have two extra stamps in here as well, two gorgeous little designs that accent these really nicely, but you could just use them individually by themselves, or they do actually coordinate with the little shell tag that's on here as well. So you can actually stamp them in that top portion of the shell, and you can stamp this one in the bottom portion of the shell. And then you'd have a little gap in the middle which you can put one of the stamped words, or you could use one of these debossing words in there as well. So you've got lots of options for even creating an extra tag to go with your bag that you've done loads of stamping on. You can get stamped designs on your little tag to make it coordinate as well, which is really nice. And these just look lovely by themselves as well. They look like really fancy cornices, or even like the top of a column. You could have this at the top and the bottom and draw a column between them for whatever kind of card you might need that for. So yeah, really cool that you can do that kind of thing with those little stamps. I'm glad that they included them because it gives you an extra way of adding something coordinating to a stamped bag. So those are all of the stamps, and then if I come back to the die set, you can see we've gone through most of it, but as well as having the ability to stamp that decorative panel that goes on the front and the back of it, you can also die cut it as well. So you've got this fantastic scalloped kind of design, and in the tutorial video that you'll see tomorrow, I've actually created a stencil with this portion to use the clear Morning Dew Nuvo drops through. So we're actually going to be using that part of this die to create a stencil design with that as well. But it's really pretty, this one, and you'll see this on two of the samples that I'll show you in a minute as well. I already showed you those two little dies here and the little tag. Then you have the two different outside pieces for that side panel, and then you have two different designs. I love this one. It's like a little mermaid's tail, and actually if you were good at drawing, or if one of the ones from the Stamp Club would coordinate with it, you could even create this as a chunky little mermaid's tail and then add some fins on the bottom of it and put a mermaid's body coming out the top of it. You could definitely get creative with that, maybe even combine it with other animals and make different mer animals perhaps. I think even in one of the Stamp Clubs there was whales, and you might even be able to like use the bottom of the whale tail to complete this and turn it into like a little chubby mermaid's tail as well. So I reckon this one will be nice and versatile, but I have also used this design as a stencil on the card in tomorrow's tutorial as well. And then you also have this beautiful ornate kind of design that goes really nicely with the stamped image. So if you're going to be using the stamped image, you could have die cut side pieces, you could have the stamped front panel and the die cut side pieces, or these two do mix and match really nicely together as well. They've kind of left this one more geometric-y looking so that you can use it with either of them and they will go with either of them, which is really nice. So you've got the two options for the side panels. Then you have that beautiful seashell gift tag, and my favourite die from this kit is this one. I love seashells, and this one is just beautiful. I've cut this so many times. I got one here left over, die cut out. I've paper piece, that's what I was using the precision glue pen for. for piecing all of the pieces back in. Works really, really well for paper piecing with this one. And I've done a couple of cards using just these kind of shapes to create cards, and they work really, really nicely. So it's just a gorgeous shell design that you've got in there as well, and that fits perfectly on the tag, so you can actually just decorate the tag with that, or you can decorate the tag with the stamps. And then we got 5 different sentiments. So there's 3 debossing ones that all fit into that long little tag that I showed you earlier, and you've got see you soon, spell SEA, so it's a punny one. You've got lots of love, and you've got just for you, and these deboss really nicely. And actually I've got a tip. You know what I was saying about die cutting on the smooth side of the texture card if you're thinking of stamping onto it? Well, if you die cut these on the smooth side of the texture card, you get a better debossed impression, so you don't technically have to use a specialty card to get a good debossed impression. You can do it on the smooth side of the texture card, and if you put 2 pieces together, you're adding like a tiny bit of extra pressure, and you get an even better impression on that top one that you actually want as well. And it means it's much easier for tracing over. So I traced over mine with a white gel pen, but if you didn't want to trace over it, you could have brought out a mousse from your stash and added the mousse to the raised up areas, so the words would still be the colour of the cardstock that you've used, and then the you know, the raised up portion of the rest of the tag, if you'd used it in the tag, would be whatever the mousse colour was that you've picked as well. I was trying to stick to things that were in the kit though, so I didn't actually do that in the end, but you could definitely do that. Or if you had debossed them into cream card, you could have used one of your ink pads to colour the rest of the tag, and then the words would be cream sunken down into it, and then the rest of the tag would be coloured with an ink pad. Then you've got 4 extra sentiments here, which all fit into this little semicircle area on this shell, so you can personalise this kind of piece. You can leave it empty if you want to, or you can personalise it by adding one of these sentiments in, and there's some really good punny ones in here as well. I've never seen this pun before. It says Special Day, so it's S-P-E and then S-H-E-L-L, so Special Day. Then we've also got Just for You. We've got this one here that says Hello Sunshine, and then another one of my favourites, this one here, says You're Sandtastic. Instead of fantastic, it says Sandtastic. I thought that one was hilarious. I've never seen that punny sentiment either, so we've got 2 pretty original kind of sentiments in there as well that are really cool and punny. So technically we have like 5 punny sentiments, I think. Yeah, because we've got 3 die cut ones and 2 stamped ones. So yeah, really cool that we've got lots of different punny ones that go with the seaside theme. But obviously you can just add happy birthday, thank you, anything that you want to go with this as well. So I'll put all of this away, and then I'll come back and show you all the samples that I have done as well. Okay, so these are the 3 bags that I've created. I've left the tails on the ribbon really long, just in case they want to undo them at Tonic. It's much easier if the tails are really long. You can tie it up much easier. But this is the first one. I just went for all of the purples. So I did the light purple as the outside of the bag, and the Texture Craft Perfect works really well because it's a lighter weight cardstock, and you really need to curve this to get those side panels to go nicely. You really need to get that piece curved for it to sort of hold on the glue tabs around here as well. So I've done the lightest purple, I've done the wavy kind of cardstock underneath Lilac Waves, and then I've done the darker purple as the outline piece on there, and I've also done Your Sandtastic as the punny sentiment on this one. And then for the shell, I cut the actual gift tag, but I cut the little loop off the top, and then I cut one from the dark purple and one from cream to go on here, so that the cream ribbon would tie in really nicely because I've got the cream cardstock on there. But again, if you wanted to, you can definitely colour your cream ribbon with one of your alcohol pens if you wanted a dark purple ribbon to go with this as well. You don't have to bring in a cream accent to make that work. You can definitely just colour your ribbon. But that is one version of the bag, and it says You're Sandtastic on both sides of it. So really, really gorgeous. And I did the mermaid kind of panel on the side of it. Really love that mermaid pattern. Then I did a turquoise version. So this one says Special Day, and then I've done exactly the same kind of thing, except for instead of shadowing 2 of these together, I put the dark turquoise outline, and then I infilled with the lighter, and then the backing piece is the glitter. So you've got that little hint of glitter coming out of the side of it. And I've done the lighter turquoise as the main bag, the darker turquoise as the panel, and then the glitter behind. And you can see there is a glittery starfish on the top and bottom there, because I've actually made a magnetic closure for it, and The magnet keeps wanting to stick onto the other side, but if you bend this back this way, so for this one, you really have to bend that curvature this way to get them to go around this part of that side piece. But if you curve them that way, but then bend it back up this way and do that on both sides, you can make it so a magnetic closure will work to keep those two together. So you can actually do a magnet closure if you want to as well. I did try doing it with a smaller neodymium magnet to begin with. There are actually 4 magnets in here because these ones really don't want to stick. I think I'm going to have to stick something else over the top so they really stay stuck. But there is a tiny little neodymium magnet underneath these, but it wasn't strong enough to hold them together. So instead I've just stuck another magnet on the inside and just done the sort of larger 9 or 10 millimeter kind of round ones. But you can definitely stick these on and much better. I'm going to put some extra glue underneath them because I've only got them on with red liner tape at the moment, but I think extra glue will really help hold them on there together. But I just love the fact that you can turn it into a magnetic closure if you want to as well. And then this one I did with the ink pads that I got in my kit, which were the tropical fruits ones. And I stamped and heat embossed in white onto some white cardstock in the end, and then I just ink blended with all of the inks over the top, focusing on the heart kind of designs there with the pink, these sort of florally, sort of almost look like bulbs, or that's almost like a shell at the bottom. That one kind of looks like a bulb or a starting to flower kind of plant. Did those with yellow and then did the rest in green. And then I've done similar kind of colours on the sides of them as well, just to tie it all together. And I've also tied this one with ribbon, but I did it differently. So if you look at this one, can you see the difference? I don't know if you really can tell, to be honest, but this one, the bow is on the top of the bag. I put the ribbon through the holes and then just tied it on the top. But this one, I put the ribbon through and then I went over the hole and came back through the opposite way, so both ribbons came back out the front of the bag. So when you tie the bow, it's on the front of the bag, not on the top. I don't know if you can actually tell the difference between them. I think you kind of can. You can see that this bow is actually on the front of the bag, where this is actually on the top of the bag. So you can tie it in 2 different ways as well, depending where you want your bow to be. I just thought I'd do this one as well, because I feel like if you had the 9mm ribbon, you might want to do it more this way, so that that beautiful larger bow would appear more on the front of the bag as well. So those are the 3 different variations, and also I forgot to show you the side panel on this one. It's that other side panel with that beautiful shell kind of design on the bottom there. It's actually... oh no, it is different. I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe that's exactly the same design as the stamped image, but it does have the same shell on the bottom of it. But those are the 3 variations. And then I have the 3 different cards to show you as well. So I've gone really simple, just using those beautiful colours from the set, or from the kit, to do paper piecing with all of those different shells. I've got the Texture Craft Perfect as the outlines, so light purple, dark purple, and the darker teal and the lighter teal. And then for the interior infill pieces, I've cut some from the glitter card and then alternated them. So you see the 2 darker teals have got this middle section with the glitter card, whereas the lighter teal has got the outer 2 bits there. So you're using less of your speciality cards if you sort of mix and match how you're putting the pieces back in. And then for the lighter purple outlines, I've got the lilac waves in the middle section, and the dark purple outlines, it's the other 2 outside sections. And then I've just swapped the pieces from the coloured outlines around as well, because obviously you're cutting them for the outline, but you will have all of those interior pieces as well, and you can just switch them around. And this is where that Smooth Precision glue pen was really handy for just putting a little bit of glue behind them and sticking those individual pieces back in. And then I also added a few of the little starfish onto there as well, the tiny little starfish. These ones here all just came out very flat without that debossed detail on them, because I literally just passed them through my machine and cut them. Whereas this one, I put an extra piece of cardstock underneath it, and you get the actual little dimples from the dye in it then. So you can either run it through with your green squidgy rubber mat, or you can put an extra piece of scrap cardstock behind it when you die cut it, and then it will push the cardstock into those little details as well. And then this is the one where I used Just For You, which is one of those debossing sentiments. I didn't use it in the tag, I just cut it into a piece of card on the smooth side of that Texture Craft Perfect cardstock, and then I traced it with a white gel pen and matted it onto a piece of glitter card. Then this one was just a really random card, this one. I wanted to show how you could use the Morning Dew crystal drops in like a swish kind of fashion. So it kind of looks like water in the background. You can see I've just used one of these silicone spatulas that Nuvo do, and I've literally just gone like this a couple of times and then come back in and added a few drops as well. You've got like a swoosh of water in the background. Then I've used some of the leftovers from this card, some of the Speciality outlines, and I'd also cut a bunch of cream ones because I wasn't sure if I was going to infill some of these with cream, but I didn't in the end. But I had all of those leftover pieces, so I just used them all on this card. And then I infilled all of these with the cream pieces. On this one, I painted in the cream pieces with the sparkle spray, the cream gold sparkle spray. I painted these pieces in with a paintbrush. And then on these ones, I splattered them. And I also splattered over the top of my Nuvo drops. And it does actually stay there. I think I just smudged that a little bit, but it does actually stay on top of the Nuvo drops as well. So you've got that beautiful splattery kind of effect. You could have done that first and then put the Nuvo drop over the top, and then it would have been protected underneath it, but you can splatter over the top as well. It might take quite a while to dry. And then these extra cream ones that I'd use the interior pieces for here, I actually painted with this as well to give them that subtle sparkly effect. Oh, and also I forgot to say, on this one, if you have a look at the panels, they're shimmery because after I'd ink blended them, I sprayed them with the sparkle spray, and you get that really subtle sparkly effect over the top. So really, really pretty. And just another extra way of adding some beautiful shine and shimmer to a project as well. And then the final card, which is what the tutorial is going to be based on, and it's going to be a Nuvo drop resist with the clear Nuvo drops. So this is actually clear Nuvo drops here that's resisted, and I'm also going to show a version of doing the Nuvo drops first and then ink blending over the top, so they would be protected as white rather than protected as whatever the background was underneath. And I'm also showing some direct to paper techniques with the ink pads, and also a little bit of stenciling with that little sort of mermaid kind of design as well. So if you're interested in this kind of mixed media abstract kind of looking card, that will be in tomorrow's tutorial video. And these actual little portions here are part of the shell design, the shell stamp design. There's two of them just here, so just to create a really different kind of look, I've used some of the seashells on here. I've used that mermaid pattern obviously, and then these kind of look a little bit like maybe like seaweed pods or something like that. So I've then used the wishing you oceans of joy as the little sentiment on there as well. But that's what the tutorial video will be on. And this has also got sparkle sprayed onto it as well from that sparkle spray too. So lots of ink blending, direct paper techniques, bit of stamping, bit of stenciling, and then some Nuvo drop resist as well to create this kind of mixed media looking card. So that will be tomorrow's tutorial video. So I hope you enjoyed this Tonic Craft Kit unboxing video for kit number 66, which is the Sassy seashell bag. I really hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a really fun little bag, and the fact that there's really only one die in there that turns it into a three-dimensional die set means it's nice and versatile for those of us who just love our card making, maybe scrapbooking, memory book making, loads of different ways that you can take this die, whether it is the actual outside die or some of the beautiful decorative elements in there, and turn them into cards and other projects as well. I had also planned to just stamp this in black onto a card and then colour it in with my alcohol pens, but I ran out of time for doing that. But you could definitely just use that beautiful shell design, possibly using that in the background, maybe stamping it in a light blue if you get the Dreaming colour trend. You could use the gorgeous bluey colour from there, stamp it in the background, and then bring in one of those mermaids from that stamp club from a few months back as well, so she kind of looks like she's inside a shell sort of design. I think that would work really nicely. So yeah, really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye!